it's only love. And I must be what I've come here to be. And I know the first step begins within me. What if I felt perfectly whole? What if my heart opened to everything with love? What if I knew only the truth? What if my mind accepted everything with love? What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within the spirit, and it's only love. And I must be what I've come here to be. Yes, we're gonna be what we've come here to be. Oh, Mother, Father, Spirit, guide us from above. Our sons and daughters look to us to show them love. Come, sisters, brothers, let's hold hands and sing as one, that we will be what we've come here to be. Yes, we're gonna be what we've come here to be. What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within the spirit, and it's only love. And I must be what I've come here to be. Yes, we're gonna be what we've come here to be. What if I did? What if I said? What if I looked around at everything with love? Love. What if I did? What if I said? What if I looked around at everything with love? What if I did? What if I said? What if I looked around at everything with love? What if I heard? What if I gave? What if my hand reached out to everything with love? What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within the spirit, and it's only love. And I must be what I've come here to be. And I know the first step begins within me. What if I felt perfectly whole? What if my heart opened to everything with love? What if I knew only the truth? What if my mind accepted everything with love? What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within the spirit, and it's only love. And I must be what I've come here to be. Yes, we've come here to be. Yes, we're gonna be what we've come here to be. What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within the spirit, and it's only love. And I must be what I've come here to be. Yes, we're gonna be what we've come here to be. What if I did? What if I said? What if I looked around at everything with love? Love. What if I did? What if I said? What if I looked around at everything with love? What if I did? What if I said? What if I looked around at everything with love? What if I heard? What if I gave? What if my hand reached out to everything with love? What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within the spirit, and it's only love. And I must be what I've come here to be. And I know the first step begins within me. What if I felt perfectly whole? What if my heart opened to everything with love? What if I knew only the truth? What if my mind accepted everything with love? What if I'm a beacon if I looked around at everything with love?
Begin Within Ministries proudly presents Sofa Sundays with your hosts, Reverend Dr. Michelle Izuku and Reverend Jeannie Sovereigns. Sundays at 11:11 a.m. Arizona time and rebroadcasts on Mondays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Come join us on the sofa every Sunday morning. Sofa Sundays with Michelle and Jeannie. Learn more at www.beginwithinministries.com. In partnership with New Thought Media Network.
And I know the first step begins within me. What if I felt perfectly whole? What if my heart opened to everything with love? What if I knew only the truth? What if my mind accepted everything with love? What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within the spirit, and it's only love. And I must be what I've come here to be. Yes, we're gonna be what we've come here to be. Oh, Mother, Father, Spirit, guide us from above. Our sons and daughters look to us to show them love. Come, sisters, brothers, let's hold hands and sing as one, that we will be what we've come here to be. Yes, we're gonna be what we've come here to be. What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within the spirit that it's only love. And I must be what I've come here to be. Yes, we're gonna be what we've come here to be. What if I did? What if I said? What if I looked around at everything with love? Love. What if I did? What if I said? What if I looked around at everything with love? What if I did? What if I said? What if I looked around at everything with love? What if I heard? What if I gave? What if my hand reached out to everything with love? What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within the spirit, and it's only love. And I must be be what I've come here to be. And I know the first step begins within me. What if I felt perfectly whole? What if my heart opened to everything with love? What if I knew only the truth? What if my mind accepted everything with love? What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within the spirit, and it's only love. And I must be what I've come here to be. Yes, we're gonna be what we've come here to be. Oh, Mother, Father, Spirit, guide us from above. Our sons and daughters look to us to show them love. Come, sisters, brothers, let's hold hands and sing as one, that we will be what we've come here to be. Yes, we're gonna be what we've come here to be. What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within the spirit, and it's only love. And I must be what I've come here to be.
Check 1, 2. There it is. There it is. That should be now. Okay, waiting. It's showing it picking up now. Check, check, check. There it is.
All right, we're back. Or we're here.
Well, luckily we have
Chrislyn on
Thank you, Chrislyn, for watching and keeping us in
Yay!
line.
She says yay!
Because I know that I would have said something brilliant, and then all of you would have missed it out there. And
Well, we
TV
did
land.
say thank you to Reverend Dr. Jerry for being here. So I want to make sure everybody heard us say that. We appreciate him being with us last week. We always love when he's here on the sofa. He's just brilliant. So we appreciate you so much.
yes, thanks, Jerry. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and then we were saying how much we missed you.
Right. We gave a shout out to Reverend Dr. Michelle, who will be here next
Sunday.
week.
Amy Steinberg, the Garden of Good.
And Chrislyn is from the Garden of Good, and she can hear us. So we really appreciate her joining in. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here, sweetie.
And you gave a shout out to the church that you spoke with us.
I did, and I was at Centers for Spiritual Living, Menifee Valley last week, and it was such an amazing time. And I did post that. I know I stole your pen. I apologize. I did post my talk also on Sofa Sundays.
Okay.
So,
and that's what I was saying. If you're watching us from YouTube, we have a Facebook group called Sofa Sundays that you can join, and we post a lot of stuff in there, which we would not have on the YouTube.
Right.
And the YouTube is Begin Within Ministries.
Yes.
So we are both of those. So
Okay.
so you know.
So
Beautifully done.
that 11 minutes of jawing
Yeah.
just
Right there.
apparently it only cost us 2 minutes.
We could say a lot shorter, I guess.
We could.
I
So, but now they can hear us.
know. So good.
I'll pray us in.
Oh, you're right.
I
Love it. Love it. Here we go.
So in this space, in this time, in this knowing that is the divine, the one heartbeat, the one breath, the one divine mind, that is me, that is Michelle, that is everyone within the sound of my voice and beyond. And this breath, this heartbeat, this divine mind is operating in beautiful harmony today, knowing and affirming that as I speak my word into the wall, that each person here receives exactly what they need to receive, that we are open from the top, knowing and receiving what it is that we are here to receive. And I send blessings to teachers and leaders of all faiths everywhere, knowing and affirming that as they speak of love, of unity, of faith, that their congregations are blessed and open to receive the words of wisdom, that truth is truth no matter where it's spoken, what language, or who's speaking it. And I bless our governments, our leaders of all countries, knowing and affirming that they are blessed, that they are moved by the Spirit of the divine in all that they do, and that we are open and available to stand for the love and unity that we are. And for this, I am so grateful. So I say thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, universe. And I let it go. I call it good. And together we say, and so it is. There we go.
Oh, lovely.
Are we stopped now? Oh, no, that was just, oh, no, we were
I was
just
just
praying.
in prayer.
We were praying very, I usually move around when I pray too.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Don't you notice that?
No, because I closed my
Oh,
eyes.
because you close your eyes.
No one noticed it. No one's knowing it.
No one's knowing it. Good. But I say that because Michelle and I are kind of in a growth spurt.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to out us.
Okay.
Right? I'm going to out us. We're in a growth spurt. I won't out everything.
I'm like, oh, is this where we're going this morning?
This is where I'm going this morning. That's what you get for not bringing the cards.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
When did you go talk at another church again? What
Yeah,
did you
right.
say?
We were talking, but we've been talking this
We
week.
are very authentic. I
Yeah.
love that we share.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been talking this week about just growth,
Mhm.
like, you know,
Right. Definitely
Pushing
feeling
that-
growing
yeah.
edge.
pushing that green growing edge of life. And so we started praying together in the morning on Marco Polo. And
What that is, not everybody knows.
Oh,
You
okay,
should
so
know what this is.
if you don't know this app, let me tell you, it's video text is the best way to describe it. So you can do a message for somebody, and then they can message you back when they have time or listen to it and when. And I don't know, I've been on Marco Polo for like 7 or 8 years now. I love it. I really do. So this is like one of my favorite things to do.
And once you get a couple of those, I mean, we love it.
Yeah.
I love being able to communicate that way, because sometimes you have a lot to say, right? You just feel, you can't just text that, or you get that same emotion. So when when something's going on and we need that support, you know, it's such a great.
And then you don't have interruption.
Right.
Get it all out.
Right.
And then she responds.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And there's also a little bit of therapeutic thing to it, because you're looking at yourself. So, you know, there's a little self-therapy in that as well. So we started praying together this week, and man, did that make a difference to me.
Huge difference for me.
Yeah, because there was a lot of, you know, work stuff going on this week, and I'm preparing to go away to see my grandsons, and
You have a surgery.
I have a
coming up.
surgery coming up, and
Well, we both have a business. We both work outside of this.
Yeah.
You know, our goal is that this becomes our full-time gig, because you know, this is what we really want to do full-time, but it's still growing in itself.
right,
So sometimes we have our own issues or things that are going on during the week. And what I've learned from this week is that if it pushes me into my spiritual side more, whatever's going on in my other part of my life, I'm grateful for it. And that's what it did for us. It caused, I think it was me who started that. I reached out one time, and I was having a moment, and I reached out, and she came back immediately on Marco Polo with a prayer that put me back, reset me immediately. I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I needed. You know, so I'm so grateful for anything that comes my way, especially those moments that just push you back into, lean on the truth that you know is the truth. Go back there and start from within, and you know, connect with your tribe, those kinds of things, because it's growing you. So instead of it being a negative, saying, oh, this is bad, that's whatever's happening, it's not, we can call it that.
Mhm.
But if it's causing growth, and if it's causing you to lean harder on your faith and the tribe that you've created,
yeah,
is it bad? I mean,
right.
it's
And so
important.
that's well, what I'm looking at you, Abby. What we're talking about in PQ this week was about the.
What's PQ though? Everybody knows.
Okay. Well, hang on a second.
Well,
I'll
I'll let
tell
you
you.
know what you're talking about.
All right. So in our PQ class this week, which the PQ stands for Positive Intelligence Quotient. So that's what PQ. It's positive intelligence is a system done by
Oh, gosh.
Shirzad Sharmi.
Good job.
There we go. Woo! I mean, I've been studying it for 4 years. I better know how to say his name by now. And so we're doing the class. But one of the things that came out of that this week was in PQ, there's 3 ways to develop these muscles of dealing with, and we're going to go into a little bit of that with our thoughts today. And one of them is looking for the growth and opportunity in circumstances, finding that in circumstances. So like a lot of times people will say, well, everything goes for the good. You know, like there's a hand gesture I'd like to give to that. And it's not this. Or that. You know, like,
And the laughter means
everybody knew what I was saying,
right?
you know, because there's a lot of times when somebody would say that and you're like, you know what? Thank you, but go away. You know, and that's that's my pretty way of saying that. And because I can't see the growth or the opportunity right away on something or the blessing in something.
Right.
However, I can look back, or I can even pause and see how, like we were talking about. Yeah, we both bitched,
Right.
you know, but it was also about, okay,
Fish
now,
pride.
yeah, and now how are we moving ourselves forward to this, you know? Because today's focus, every thought I hold shapes my reality towards good. Now, in Science of Mind, in the text, it talks about change your thinking, change your life. I mean, I have like 4 different pages about thought, being creative, and what we think about comes about. Knowing that still doesn't change some of the ways I think. that doesn't mean I don't think things are crappy sometimes. Like, that I can't see a way out of it. You know, like, if your bank account is looking a certain way, or maybe there's like a negative sign next to the number there, you know, it's hard when somebody comes up to you and says, you know, what you think about comes about. Like, hello, right? You know, like, what do you think about or, you know, I'm hobbling and they're like, oh, you didn't get that fixed yet? Or, you know, it's like, well, you know, what were you thinking about? Look, look, people,
That's a good one.
right?
What did you
You know,
create this?
what'd you do to create this? Like, keep your spiritual malpractice to yourself.
And that's okay if we go there for ourselves.
Yeah.
That's automatically what I do. What am I
Yeah,
doing?
what am I doing? What am I
What am I
thinking?
thinking? Because I'm attracting. But then at the same
Right.
time, it's like if someone else says it, it's like someone talking. You know, you're like when my sister used to make me crazy. That's one thing. But don't tell me my sister's
Making
Don't
you
talk about
yeah, exactly.
Don't talk about
Yeah.
my sister. I can talk about you. Can't talk about her.
Right.
You know, so it's
There-
like,
there-
I know that I'm creative.
That's right.
and
There's
I'm
a boundary,
creative,
people.
But I don't need to tell you.
So one of the things that I thought about on that is on, speaking of creating, and this one's even on health, is page 94.1. How to use the creative principle. If through the law, thought is creative, we cannot say that one thought will create while another one will not. Right? Because true, what does the law always say? Thank you. Always says yes. We must admit that all thought is creative according to the impulse, emotion, or conviction behind the thought.
So be careful what you're
Just
thinking.
thinking.
But sometimes you can't be careful.
Right.
Sometimes it just comes so, like something happens and you're automatically triggered and then there you are.
So I say this, I might not be able to control the first thought, but I can control what I feed it,
Right.
right? My first thought just comes in, stuff just pops in.
Right.
I walk past grates with keys in my hand, and the first thought is I'm going to drop these keys down the grate. I mean, I don't know where that comes from, but, you know, like, thank you, right? You know, but I don't feed it. I do stick those keys in my pocket, though.
And you know, like this saying that every thought I hold shapes my reality toward good.
Yes.
If I believe that God uses everything toward my good, everything. So I'm not just saying only the good stuff that happens to me
Right.
is being used toward my
All
good.
of it. All of it.
So when I'm thinking thoughts that don't align with my good, that I would say don't align with my good, right? That I would say are like I like something's upset me, I'm angry and having all these negative thoughts, right? How is God turning that toward my own good? And I've thought a lot about this, and one of the things that happens, what I was just saying earlier, is that if it pushes you toward more connection with others, or reaching out, or working more on your spiritual practice, or whatever, if it's so bad that you go, I need to pray more, we need to pray every day together, I need to keep my mind, if it does that, that's pushing you toward good. So even though something bad has happened, it's still always somehow filtering in,
Right.
pushing you in a direction.
Right.
It's the way I kind of take that, because every thought I hold isn't always a good thought. It's not always like how I would want to be all the time.
Right.
I'd love it if I could just always, but my first
Oh,
thought
I know.
can't be the reactive one,
Right.
where I go into my past thinking and suddenly I'm now running
Right.
down the road I would say I don't want to be on. But if that causes me, maybe I take a little detour, but if it deepens my connection, if it causes us to have a deeper connection, which it has this week, if it causes me to reach out to someone in my tribe and say, here's what's going on for me, you know, don't I want that? Isn't that for my own good? Isn't that causing more of the thing I actually want? And I always quote this, and I think Anne always tells me it's Morgan Freeman in that movie where he says, you know, you ask God to make you more courageous, or maybe you ask for more money in your bank account. Well, it doesn't just show up that there's more money in your bank account, but you're certainly going to get experiences that start to cause you to grow in the ways that create more money in your bank account.
God doesn't give you patience.
That's
God gives you opportunities to exercise patience.
Yes, and grow that muscle. Because right now, if you're seeing something, the bank account's such an easy one to target or
Right.
whatever. But if your bank account isn't what you want it to be, well, okay, I've created that. Okay, I can understand that, and that's the muscle that's stronger right now. But if I'm getting other things happening to me, and maybe they feel awful, and they are awful, and maybe you've got people calling you or whatever. But if that causes that other muscle to grow, maybe it's not going to happen maybe overnight, and maybe it could, because that happens too.
It could happen
But
overnight.
it causes that movement toward the right direction. Okay, then. So there's mysterious ways that spirit works in things, right?
Right.
That don't always, in our human experience, or we don't see it, the whole tapestry. We don't see from this point of view. We're like in it, going, yeah, but right now I can't.
I have been in the I can't so many times in my life, and I was just thinking,
I hate that.
right? I hate that. Who likes that, right? But
I don't like it.
that experience, one, makes for great comedy, and two,
And everybody can relate.
right? Everybody can relate. It's great comedy, right? I think about, especially when we talk about the opportunities that come through things. I was talking the other night at bingo. Yes, I'm that old. I play bingo on Friday nights, and it really is. It really is. Bingo is for all
We're
ages.
gonna start having bingo here.
And I'm going to tell you about auto bingo in a minute.
I'm
So.
writing that down.
All right, so we're at bingo, and I don't even know what caused it, but they were like talking about, when are you getting your leg done? And I said, and then like, why? Everybody always asks, well, why do you have so many joints that have to be replaced, right? You're so young. And I say, thank you, because I am. That was the same when I had my heart attack. You're so young. When I got cancer, you're so young. Yeah, well, you know what? Stuff happens to young people too.
That's right.
And, but cancer was the reason behind that. I was on high dose chemo in my 30s, and it hit fast growing things. It hit my bones. It hit those things that, and I signed off on this whole thing when I had the bone marrow transplant that basically said, there's no known benefit to you, but hey, do you want to do it?
Wow.
You could die in 2 months. Are you good? It reminded me of the thing I signed when I went skydiving.
Oh my God.
Insurance will not pay out. Are you good? So, but when I think about that, at 30, I wasn't thinking about what it was going to do to my teeth in 20 years or, my bones. I was like, am I going to live longer than 2 months? Okay, let's go. And, but even cancer's the reason I got sober, right? Because I thought I was going to die, and I'm a bad Catholic girl, and I was going to hell. I mean, I knew I was going to hell. I had to get right with God. So I got sober so I could get right with God. And then in that process, I was able to live longer, because I did those things. And I remember my first sponsor being like, wow, you're so honest. I didn't know you could lie to sponsors. As a sponsor, I found out they do lie to you, but I didn't know that at the time. And I thought I was going to hell. I was trying to straighten things up. So I was trying to straighten things up, and then even sobriety brought me through, I'm going to meetings in a church that's assigned to my church. I'm sitting in Creative Living Fellowship because we would, that's the church that we went to. And we had a hall that was rented out to different recovery groups. And that's how I found Creative Living Fellowship.
That's how you found
12, 13 years ago. And then that started and I walked into that place and I felt at home immediately, and they had this thing, it's like, do you want to be a member? I signed up. I'm like, let me be. I want to be a member. I want to be part of. And I did that, and I started Dakota and I were just dating when I started Foundations. We had just started dating that August. I started Foundations in September. So Dakota's watched this whole thing, and I'm to minister, practitioner. I mean, minister training was a lot easier than practitioner training.
Practitioner was very hard.
So,
because you have to take out everything and put it on the table for everybody to see.
Practitioner year 2.
Oh my God.
It's like spiritually vomiting weekly.
And you sit there and go, wait, you want me to do what?
Yeah.
You want me to share all my stuff?
I don't even know these people. Yeah. So
that way though.
right.
And you have to share it with everybody in the class, plus yourself.
Right. Yeah. There was things I didn't want to look at. I'm like,
I'm getting chills.
We got this back here.
I had no idea I was going to have to do that.
Yeah.
I'm here to help other people. I don't need. what am I-"
Right.
Well, you can't do that if you haven't done it.
Right. And which was really
Wow.
interesting for me because, you know, at being in a 12-step program, I did do a lot of
Yeah,
that
you already had
previously,
Right.
but that still wasn't what that was,
No.
right? Because when I did my steps, it was about outside actions.
Yeah.
Right? So it was like I did this thing, this affected this person, now I'm going to make amends.
Gotcha.
In this class, it was like how this thing affected me emotionally and what that brings up and triggers for me mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and how I move forward in life. Because what people forget is, yeah, we can clean up all that stuff on the outside, but inside, you know, that's where it created that God hole for me. That's where I had to learn to be open to receive more, you know, and change my thoughts.
Yeah.
Because just changing
you-
my behavior only got me so far.
Right. When you realize that you are a creator, you are made of God's stuff, therefore you are a creator, right? So you are the one creating all of this. That's a lot to handle.
Yeah.
It's a lot to handle.
It's a large responsibility.
It's a big deal. Yeah. There's a part of you that's like,
That's why a lot of people don't like signs of mine.
it's very scary.
We're a very responsible religion.
I know.
Oh, is that happening to you? You're
Not very
responsible.
Not organized religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not organized, but
Right.
yeah.
I know.
Then you also have to cop to
Wait,
all
wait,
the
do
crap that you created, and that's why people don't want to own
Right.
their creator ability.
Right. That responsibility to
Remember
yeah.
Kaylee saying to me after her class, I have to own all the shit. I said, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's how powerful you are.
Yeah.
And you can change it too. If you can get that you are creating this, as hard as it is, or as great as it is, or whatever, you also can change it. That's
Right.
huge to understand. Huge to understand. It's coming, you have to begin within. It's coming from inside out. It's not coming at you and happening from here inside you. It's coming the other way. That's a huge
Right. And that's what
realization.
Dr. Michael Beckwith talks about, right? First, it's happening to me.
Yeah, that's where
Right,
you are.
that's
Different
the-
levels of
The different first, it's happening to me.
Yeah.
Second, it's happening with me.
Mhm.
I'm creating it,
with God. Like
with God.
Yeah.
and it's happening through me. Now I'm powerful, which is a good place to go.
Right. But then
And then it's happening as me, that I am God.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that Jerry said and vice versa when you said
Right.
Jeannie says, I'm here to give God a good time. And he said vice versa. I love that, you know, because that is true, right? Not only am I here as God in form as Jeannie, but giving God a good time, but God as Jeannie giving me a good time. So that physical experience as Jeannie is happy and whole and complete. You know, that I find the joy in that, because who really wants to live without joy? What is the point of that?
it's the point of all of it. That joy,
Right.
love, it's the point of
That is.
And that's why, when we do have these experiences that feel like not joy, that's how we recognize the difference,
Mhm.
you know? The flip of the coin has a heads and a tails, but it's still the coin. It's still one thing.
Right.
There's both sides. Which side are you on? Which side are you feeding? Which side are you experiencing more of? It's the same. It's still only one thing. It's only one thing going on. So it's just so interesting how we want to maneuver, but it's still one thing. But I love that your journey is like such a powerful journey of, it's so quick to recognize how these things happened and they caused you to move in a certain way that led you here, where you're sitting right now.
Except
But
the
we-
second cancer.
Oh,
I wasn't that quick.
Yeah.
I was a little mad at that one.
I would
Yeah.
be too. But I mean,
Yeah. That
We
was the
all-
time I was like, excuse me, gave it the office?
yeah, I already did this.
Already did this?
I did this already once. But we all have the same, we all can look back at our lives and see the moves. Now sometimes we move on our own and sometimes we need a big kick in the pants, and that's happened. And
Yes.
that's, we're kind of, we know, and if we're honest with ourselves, we've had these nudgings, we've had these thoughts, we've had these desires, and we don't, and so then we just have to get the 2x4 instead.
Yeah.
Oh, it needs to, is it on? You can check it.
Hello.
There you
Yep,
go.
you're on.
So life is always communicating with us, teaching us. It's up to us whether or not we want to receive it. And so sometimes I'm just confused by what all this is going on.
Yeah.
And ChatGPT is my new confidant and processor of life. But I often ask, give me the polarity of this and give me the metaphysic of this.
Nice.
And it's just opened up a whole world.
Love it.
Because I'm short-sighted. I've got a habitual way of being a little bit short-sighted when things hurt me. I'm like, I don't like any of this. This is not for me. And all of that, all the noise. And I'm just changing the station. Anne said this years ago, just change the station. You don't like mariachi? Don't listen to it.
Yeah.
But I didn't, I felt like my remote control had no batteries.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Eyes of me.
And it's like, wow, I love that about me.
And when when those outside appearances are right here, you are short-sighted.
Yeah.
When it's right, everybody else can go, Amy, here, Amy, let me, because we're all over here, but when it's right in your face, it's sometimes hard, which is why it's so important to have a tribe.
Right.
It's so important
Somebody
to
who's
reach
not
out
seeing that.
and be able to, and this is the time to work on it. If you don't have somebody that, if you think to yourself, do I have somebody that I can call in a horrible moment, in a moment of where I'm in despair, or I'm, like crying or miserable or whatever, do I sit there and I go, well, I don't have anybody? Then then this is the time to work on that now. Develop those relationships, feed into those now, deposit into those now so that you can withdraw when you need to and you feel okay to call. Like I felt okay to Marco Polo you because you do that to me.
Yeah.
You share with me. So it was hard, but because I sometimes carry it like I can do it all by myself. Like I got to do this or go do this, But because I did that, immediately she responds, okay, let's pray. That was her immediate response.
And it
And it
turned
was
like that. It turned like the situation
did.
also did turn like
Yes,
that.
it
Like
was
you
like
turned
shifted.
quickly,
Yeah.
you shifted quickly, and
Yeah.
then your situation within 12 hours was
Yes,
totally
it shifted
different.
the whole thing. It helped me to shift for somebody else, and it shifted the whole situation. Had I not had that, and I had gone in, now what was I creating? I certainly wasn't creating the outcome we had before. I got prayer, got my mind right. Now I can see from a different. I wasn't facing it. I was seeing from the right point of view, from the present moment, and then a whole different situation occurred. So I don't know what would have happened the other way.
Right.
I can only guess. I mean, maybe it still would have gone that way, but it would have been grueling. It would
Right.
have been a miserable process. But when I could go in there, God strong, and be like, whichever way it goes, I'm good because I know the truth about who and whose I am, and God's behind all of these things. God's behind the other people. God's behind the situation. God's behind me. What am I worried about?
Right.
What am I stressed about? We've been asking for X, Y, Z, and if this is the way to it, then fine.
Oh, sometimes the universe is humor. Again,
I
hand
know,
sign.
I know.
Hand sign. Like seriously.
It's so true, right? It's so true.
I just had this.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I just had here.
Yeah.
I had this image of trusting God, and then He's driving, and then you're let me get that wheel from you, and like forcing your own way and not trusting.
Right.
I just felt that. No.
Yeah.
I'll get it. But trust.
What's that poem? I try to tell you that poem. I gotta look that up. The one where it says, I had toys to fix. I had a toy that needed to be fixed, and I gave it to God to fix it. What was it? And then, or the toy maker to fix it, God. And it took so long, and I snatched it back, and he basically yelled like, "You didn't fix it. You're taking like, well, you never let go. Like you never let me have it to do it. You're just constantly." It's like that one always hits me. Like, yeah, you could do it your way, or you could relax and let it move.
Right.
With it.
And we talk about that, right? Like, so you get that nudge to do. So I had this nudge that I should get healthier, right? That I should eat better.
What?
That I should do things, to help regulate my body so that it can move better after surgery and everything like that. So, I don't know when that nudge came, probably a couple years ago, actually. And yeah, I thought that's a great idea. And I started drinking a little bit more water, whatever. And so, like, I would do these tiny things. I would make some efforts. I would do yoga for like 6 months. I would do my bike. I would do little things here and there. And then I'd get tired of it and I'd stop doing it. So now I'm going into surgery, and you have to have all these pre-surgery appointments and stuff. So they take my blood, and I fast it. And they take my blood, and my sugar levels are like outrageous, right? Like, I tell my mom the number, and she goes, "What'd you do? Have 3 candy bars before you gave blood?" And I go, "No." And then, so then, the doctor says, like, "We're going to put you on this medication and stop eating sugars and carbs and just stop eating."
Yeah.
Like, forget it. Forget food. You're done. You have plenty to spare. You've had your chance. You're completely done. And so she sends this in and tells me to do. So now I'm good, right? Like, I mean, I'm not good as I should be, but I'm better than I was, right? Like, and now I'm on this medication, and I'm trying.
Yeah.
And, and there's things, and I'm not eating them because the doctor told me not to.
You're so good.
And I was good. And it always hurts when they take blood because they just hit me. So she takes the blood. I'm 2 points up. And I was trying this time. I was like, Lordy. So I tell you that because now, and I've lost like 8 pounds, right? And so, like, I wanted to be healthier. So the universe said, okay, here you go. You're going to get healthier because if my blood sugar doesn't stay under a certain level, they won't do surgery. So there's this whole, like, I have to. Like, before, it was like, okay, I'll do what they tell. No, you have to, because I want to be out of pain.
Yes.
So I don't like the 2x4.
I don't know.
I don't
why
like the
we have to do
2x4s. I don't know why
do we do that?
to myself.
Why we wait for the 2x4?
When people
I
go,
don't know.
"You're so resilient. You've been through so much." That's because I need 2x4s. I don't want to be resilient anymore.
Apparently we don't move
I
any
said,
other way. I don't
yeah.
get it.
I used to say, if I'm not in pain, I won't change. I mean, like, come on, let's stop that. Let's stop that.
I
That's
know.
and it's truly a way that I'm motivated. Like, I have to be motivated in a way. So I'm learning a little different. I'm starting to see those things, and then every time I realize that, oh, I asked for this. That's what I said about getting that thing from my doctor. I asked for this. I said I want to be healthier. The doctor said, "You're not so healthy. This is what you need to do." I said, okay. No, really. No, really. You're going to have to do this
It's
now.
serious now, really.
Yeah, it's
We're not
serious
playing.
now. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Right. I hear that.
So I wrote down a few tips for people.
You did.
I
You
did.
got some tips.
I got some tips for you.
I already got it.
Are you ready? So these are some tips on how to hold your thoughts in a way to create reality for the good. Okay? First one. I know this is going to be a shock to all of you that are in Science of Mind. I'm going to need you to do some Science of Mind treatments. I'm going to need you to pray. First tip, pray.
Yeah.
Pray by yourself. Pray with a friend.
Yeah.
Pray with the cats. You ask GPT for a prayer. Yeah.
ChatGPT will throw you.
It's a good prayer, right? And so one of the things that I had for an affirmation, I now accept a life overflowing with divine right action, and the law makes it so. Right? So regardless of what it is it your health, divine right action, and the law makes it so? Is it your checking account? Divine right action, and the law makes it so. Your relationship, your job, your car, your kids, divine right action, and the law make it so. You want me to tell you that in secular, non-science of mind terms? Mel Robbins, let them. There you go. The let them theory, right? It has nothing to do with you. You have no control. Do what you can. Allow others to do what they need to do.
Right.
And unless, of course, you need to keep your kids safe. I will put that out there. Keep your kids safe, So there we go. The second one when we talked about positive intelligence, I call it the PQ pause, right? The whole point that says when you are angry, frustrated, irritated, driving, oh, that's not a feeling, that's an action, sorry. You know, whatever those things that cause that feeling, right? Acknowledge it, recognize it, because you know it, because that's not bringing you joy,
Doesn't feel good.
right? That doesn't feel good. It doesn't matter what you call it.
It's
If
just
you-
information.
If it doesn't feel good, you are not present.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a pause. That's what you need, a pause. If you're having one of those type of feelings, yes, it's information. It's information to pause because you're not in the present moment. And we want to.
And you'll make the wrong moves if you stay there.
Exactly.
You gotta be present now.
And with PQ, positive intelligence, there's a couple of things you can do, but they all revolve around 10 to 15 seconds of a present moment physical feeling. Okay? So whether it's rubbing your two fingers together to feel the ridges on your hand, or my favorite is I try to feel all my toes, and I can feel the last one and the first one, but those middle ones I have to really concentrate on. How far can you, what's the furthest sound you can hear? What's the closest sound can you hear? Can you hear your own breathing? With breath, breathing in, is it the same temperature as coming out? Noticing that. With, if you're driving or sitting, like really notice what's in front of you. Pick something to look at. Get your senses involved. 10 to 15 seconds will change that feeling, bringing you into the present moment, beginning within.
Yeah.
Taking it out of fight or flight. That's basically what's happening. When you're in that negative feeling, you're in your fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, and moving it over to sage, which is that part where we operate out of feelings of love. You know. And then the last one, oh, always the best, gratitude and vision. So having a gratitude list or doing a gratitude list, and then also with that, I'm so grateful for the things that happened today. That's one of the things in the 5-step prayer. When we do Thanksgiving, we give gratitude in that 4th step for the things we just prayed about. I said, I thank you, God, knowing and affirming that people's minds are open, that these leaders are operating out of love, that these teachers are teaching out of love. And I give thanks that this is already done in the mind of God. I see this already done. So that Thanksgiving there says I already see it done, even if physically we haven't seen it yet, right? We give thanks for that. And then the vision of what could come next. What do I want next? Can I vision $1 million in my checking account? Can I vision seeing Sofa Sundays, you know, the, what do we call it? It's not a franchise, but, you know,
Oh, it is.
well, I guess
Yeah,
it is a
franchise.
franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Sofas
looking.
all over the world.
We want sofas all over the world, you know. So can I vision that and pray for that and open that up? And that is where we go. So first one was what? Thank you. Second one? Pause. Thank you. Third one? Right on. Good job, Michelle. You were cheating though because I wrote it down over here. So we got prayer, pause, gratitude.
And vision.
Right, gratitude and vision. Yes.
I love
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. And that's easy, right? And that can be done.
That's a practice, though.
Yeah, it's a practice. I should say it's simple, not easy.
I know. We give you lots of things on the sofa because we work on them ourselves. And oftentimes you need to remind yourselves to do these things because the old programming or the old way you did stuff is so strong because that's how you've done it. So it's natural just to, you know, when something happens, sometimes you just default to that because you're in the thick of it. It's right in your face. You're just naturally default there. And it's, but the more that you practice these other ideas that we throw out, the more that we're practicing it too, the stronger that gets. And it's always so interesting to me when my default isn't this negative side. My default might be to reach out. I'm always so proud of myself. Like, oh, look at that. It's getting it's getting stronger. Like that was my first thought. What? How did that come? That's from the practice. practice. And so sometimes you need to write down little notes to yourself, like remember today we're going to, what was the first, I know the second is pause and the third one is gratitude. What's the first one on here?
Prayer.
Yeah. So if you say the, well, then I go, I didn't write them, you wrote them down. So if you like this and you create a new little practice sheet for yourself, you might put something in your bathroom that says prayer, I already forgot.
Prayer, pause, gratitude, vision.
Yeah, so you put those on a little piece of paper, and now you're seeing that. Maybe you put it in your purse because you know you go in there to freshen up your makeup during the day, or maybe you keep. My dad used to keep a certain coin in his pocket to remind himself to. He was Catholic, but he had this little coin that he would keep in there, and anytime he'd pull out his change, my dad was a lot older than. He always had this little change, Like, you remember, did you guys have men in your life that used to do that? He would just sit there and chink the change in his pocket. It was so funny. And sometimes when he would be somewhere and he's counting out change, he'd see that coin, and he'd immediately say, whatever that Catholic thing that they would do. So, like, whatever it takes to help these things become stronger than the other stuff. I know Reverend Dr. Michelle, when she started learning one of the practices for feminine presence, she had on the pulpit when she would be preaching, she had a little note to herself, go home, because that's basically get present. And so she would have that on there, and as she's talking and getting wherever, she'd see that and be like, oh yeah, let me get back and come back.
And it's still on there.
Isn't that? Oh,
Yeah.
so cute. So
we
whatever,
have that pulpit. So.
whatever we throw out, whatever we throw out that you go, oh, that's for me. Like, you may not pick up everything we're throwing out because it may not be what you need. But if we throw out something, you're like, there's something. Write it down, and then make it a part of your practice, so that becomes the go-to. That becomes the thing that you're doing. It's something that you have to kind of keep top of mind for it to get stronger than the stuff that you've been doing all along, because it's just the way it is.
And that's the thing. If you don't practice something, it goes away. Right. I had, for 4 years, I had a cake decorating business with my daughter, and the more we did it, the better it got.
Right.
I don't do that anymore. I would be kind of surprised to see what the next cake because I don't do that all the time. As I was doing it, my abilities got better.
Right.
So it's about staying in the practices as your abilities get better. Right. But I have one more reading. This is in page 483.5. I'll let you get there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm a visual person. So
I know.
when I come look at it.
It's nice not to have a book falling apart. Yeah. So,
I like reading books.
In the science of mind, we learned that persistent, constructive thought is the greatest power known and the most effective. Yeah. I just love that line. I mean, it does go on to tell you more.
Say the next line. I like this
Okay.
next line.
If the visible effect in our lives is not what it should be, if we are unhappy, sick, and poverty-stricken, we know the remedy. The truth is always the remedy, and the truth is that the law of liberty is the only real law. When we reverse the process of thought, the effect will be reversed.
So when we reverse the process of thought, whatever we have been thinking and it's creating what we don't like, if we reverse it, it will create the reverse effect. So you want something different, change what you've been thinking about, and it will shift it.
And you know how Michelle Whittington says this all the time too. Truth is truth, right? And so being in the 12-step program, the 9th step is about making amends. Yeah. And I noticed that the karma stopped hitting me as I made amends. Like I stopped receiving the nonsense back at me that, I had put out there, because it changed my thought process too. Not only was I making amends, but I was changing my processes, how I was going to see the world. God, to me, the first time I got to define who God was, I made God my hitman. Because I was tired. I was newly sober and 30. Come on. Because I learned that, the things I was doing to people to make them pay for what I thought they should pay for, was probably not the best way to operate in life. So I asked God to do it. And then things were happening to people, not because I did it, but, and I remember this one time after I divorced my daughter's father, and he was going through something. I said, well, I'll pray for you. And he goes, please don't.
Oh my God.
Was he aware of your?
Yeah,
Yes.
you know, because I made jokes about it. So, you know, like people were like scared to piss me off after a while. Look, that's on you, your karma.
Oh my
But anyway,
gosh.
I have a different God these days. I no longer have that vengeful need, but you know,
Yeah.
like giving that
She is
up.
really sweet, really.
I really
She's
am.
really sweet.
Like giving that up and releasing that control that I needed to be the one to tell people when they did something wrong or how they did it wrong was, you know, it took a little bit. So that was a way for me to release that without being the one to show people why they were wrong in life. I'm working on actually I don't have that part of it anymore, thank God. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel the need to tell people what they need to do.
Yeah, we're all
Actually,
on
some
our
people
journey.
will say, well, what do you think? I'll go, what do I say, Amy? Are you asking me? Or do you just need somebody to hear you?
Yeah,
You
what
know?
do you actually want
Yeah,
her to
because
say?
do you want advice? Because, you know, yeah,
There's no sugarcoating.
yeah, I don't always have advice either. You
That's a
know.
diabetic dialogue.
Yeah, there you go. I don't always know.
Something that keeps coming to me, and it's still kind of hitting me, but my this every thought I hold shapes my reality toward good. Is when I was a young girl, when I was around 16 years old, was the first time I had the experience with religious science. And it was also the same year that I lost my grandfather to cancer. And it's changed my going through having that way of thinking and also having that experience with him changed my thinking about cancer and about anything like that. Whereas I don't know that most people feel like I do, but my growing up, my grandmother was love of my life. She was a really mean woman, but I had to have that relationship. I wanted her to love me and like me, and I worked really hard. You guys know I've told you I'm a rebel and a firstborn, so these are some of my behaviors, right? Everybody's afraid of her. She was mean, she was whatever, and I'm like, okay, that's the one I want. That's the one I want her to love me. I gotta prove this, right? And then here's my sweet grandpa, this plump little guy over there, you know, trying to be sweet to me and whatever, and I didn't even see that because I was so busy trying to get this woman to love, which I did accomplish. We were very close. And when he became sick, when I was about 16 years old, we rushed home from a family trip, found out that he had been diagnosed with cancer. We rushed home. And I had just learned how to drive a car. My mother was very paranoid about me being in a car. And my grandfather was in the hospital. And my grandfather said to my mother, would you have Michelle? He knew that she was like this. He said, would you have Michelle please drive my car for me so that the battery can keep good or whatever. And that was his way of like making sure I had ability to drive because my mother was so paranoid. And he goes, and then maybe she can just come see me after school. She can just have her drive to see me. That way I know the car has been driven and whatever. So I did that. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, Grandpa. I took myself to school and it was so cool. But seeing him every day after school, I learned a lot about this really cool guy. That was so cool. Like I was a performer, I sang in Mandela stuff, and they were always there at everything I did, but it wasn't her I learned, it was him. Mm-hmm. She didn't really care about any of that stuff. But my grandfather was a musician. He played multiple instruments. His whole family was like that, and I didn't know some of this stuff. But because I spent every day after school for about 3 months with him, because he had set that up, I learned in my mind, I was so grateful for that situation that he was in because of what I got from it. Had it been a heart attack, had it been some other situation, a quick thing, I would never have known the man that he was, and I would never have known what I didn't know. I would never have had that. But because of what he went through, for some reason, I got that gift. For some reason, I got to have this amazing experience with him every day after school, hanging out with this guy.
You got it.
Huh?
You got it.
Yeah.
You needed to be got it.
It was, and it's for some reason, and I remember him saying to me one time, he was so cute too. He was like this plump guy. He was always on a diet, desperate. This is why he got sick, because he was, back then, everything he did has that saccharin in it, and we didn't know all the things that was doing to the body. He was so trying to be thin, and he was such an eater, and he had diabetes, and it was just this awful situation. But he said to me one time, he was just so cute, and I remember thinking he was just this cutest thing. And he said, "Do you think you'll miss me?" Aww. Can you imagine that? Do you think you'll miss me? And I, without a doubt, could say yes. But before I wouldn't have known him to miss him like that. But I said, oh yeah, I'm gonna miss you so much, you know. And then we both kind of cried. And then when he was on his last moments, my mom was such a funny character. She was so wonderful. But these little weird moments she would have. He was on his deathbed, you know, and everybody was trying to go in to see him. Like, well, I want to go see. No, you girls, it's too much. She wouldn't let my sister and I go in to see him. And here I've been out with this man every day.
Right.
Every day for 3 months. And I'm like thinking to myself, so I remember I thought, I'm gonna act like I'm good. I'm gonna get myself together, I'm gonna act cool. And I walk up and I go, Mom, I really want to see Grandpa. And she looks at me and she goes, honey, it's too much. I go, no, I can do it. I really can do it. I want to see him one more time. And she goes, okay. She goes, but if you can't, if it's too hard, I don't want you in there. I'm like, no, I can do it. And I'm like, oh my God. So I walk in there, you know, and he was going through these moments, and my Aunt Julie was in there, and she said, now, honey, the morphine makes his hands move, and you just have to grab him because I don't want him to hurt himself, you know, if that happens. So I was like, okay. So I was in there with him, and he started having these jitters that they get, and so I grabbed his arm, and the man, I mean, he was like on stuff, right? He was not there. And the moment he did that, and the moment I touched him to help him not bang himself on his thing, he opened his eyes, and he looked right at me. And he's staring at me, and my Aunt Julie says, Irving, do you see that that's Michelle? Can you see that that's Michelle? And he looked at me, and you could tell he was trying to clear his eyes. And then he just whispered, I love you. And I said, I love you too, Grandpa. And then he just smiled, and then he closed his eyes and went. So we had this amazing bond and experience. And I will tell you some other time, he has visited me. And I don't know that I would believe that stuff necessarily before that happened to me, but his spirit has come to me. We are so connected. And that would never have happened had he not gone through. I feel like he did all that just for me, and I don't know why, but just for me. So when I have people that are going through these awful things, sometimes I think that's why I have some of the attitude I have around stuff. Not that I want to minimize it, but these things are awful. And he went through a lot to give that special gift to me, or whatever. I don't ever try to minimize that, but there's always the other side of it. Right. And if my thinking of it, that whole experience, I didn't see it as a bad thing. And I still don't see it as a bad thing. The rest of my family see it as an awful situation. I see it as a gift that I got to have.
Right, because you saw the opportunity for there.
This is what I got from it. Yeah. So your story to me is the epitome of that. Like, you are a huge story of that, of all these awful, like you could say, yes, awful. But look what an example you are, and all the people you get to affect because of that. Like, to me, it's like, I don't know, I think like it's our thoughts, how we want to look at the thing happening in front of us. And I'm speaking to myself because I have had a week. I've had a couple weeks actually. And I immediately go to the, oh my God, the woe is me and all this stuff. And I want to be strong in this too. I want to be like your thought. What is actually happening, Michelle? What is actually happening? If you believe what you believe, then why are you looking at it like that? You know, that's where I really want. And then that comes from practice. That comes from this kind of practice, what you talked about.
Absolutely.
It's a constant effort because the world is telling us everything else. you know, the TV, the news, everything else.
Yeah.
And it does look pretty bad a lot of the time.
Yeah. And you turn that on.
Yeah. I don't even want to watch that anymore. Sometimes my husband will tell me something like, I just don't even want to hear it. So much, you know. Any comments? I know we've gone all over the place.
Yeah.
But,
You know, hey,
it's
if
not
there's
scripted.
something there,
It's not.
that's what you get. We're not scripted.
Yeah.
I almost
Whatever spirit.
Hey, you're right.
Whatever
love
spirit,
it.
whatever
Yeah.
spirit has for us.
Right.
But that just kept coming.
I go all over the place even when I am scripted. This was last week's thing, so you know.
You gotta let that come out because you never know why you're saying it.
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I know it's for us. And
Right. Exactly.
I'm
Well,
always-
that's why we do this.
I'm always
for us.
preaching to
Yeah.
myself. I'm trying
Exactly.
to remember it myself, my truth,
Yeah.
and who I am
Exactly.
in my human experience. You know, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, not the other way around. That's what we are. That's our truth. And it sure seems like that's not in the truth sometimes.
Sometimes.
No, any comments from the gallery?
No, we stopped with Chrislyn, but I
Thank
think
you,
she's
Kristen.
still here, which is good.
Love it. Anybody else? Anybody have anything? Anybody comment for anybody? We're all like,
Yeah, breathe it in.
oh,
Aww, I love that.
I love it too.
All right, you're gonna pray us out?
Yeah.
All right.
That was good. That's awesome. Oh, let's breathe that in. And just release. Recognizing there's only one. There's one life, one energy. There's only one thing going on. We call it God, we call it spirit, the divine, first cause. But whatever you call it, it is love. It is joy. It is connection, peace. It is all there is. It is all there is. And each one of us here, each one of us hearing my voice and beyond, we're each God's stuff, manifesting uniquely through us, as us, in us. We're each that love, that joy, that peace. We're each connection. And as I rest in that truth, as I know that truth, as I allow myself to move in the truth of who and whose I am, I speak my word, knowing that the law of God only says yes. And as we allow ourselves to move in that knowing, we open our hearts and our thoughts, and we allow ourselves to express and to receive love, to express and receive joy. We allow ourselves to be the conduit we allow ourselves to experience the good. And I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for the time that we shared this morning. I'm grateful for the ideas, for the conversation, for the practices, for the knowing, for our connection. I'm grateful for the divine guidance and the blessing. I'm grateful for us all taking what is ours to receive, bringing it into our everyday, using it for our highest and best. And in that I let it go, knowing and trusting it's already been done in the mind of God. And it's perfect, whole and complete. And together we say, and so it is.
Love it.
How can we support you?
Oh, thanks for asking, Ann. So there's a couple of ways you can support us. If you felt fed today, you can go on to beginwithinministries.com and donate. You can make a one-time donation, or you can join us as a Spiritual Church Club partner for $45 a month for an individual, or $75 for a couple and family. And that helps us do things like our spiritual church club cards and journals and
Yeah, when you're a partner,
You
these
get a
are
mug?
your-
Oh, wait a minute. Our
Oh,
new
a new
mugshot.
mugshot. Our in-house photographer.
Yeah, she always does our mugshots. We have several of those now. And that helps keep the ministry running. But you can also support us in a non-financial way by sharing this, by subscribing and liking to our YouTube channel, joining us on our Facebook group, telling your friends, coming in person, because Ann loves to give hugs, and the rest of us do too. And just being part of this community and reminding yourself that there's somebody out there that loves you just as you are.
Right, and if you're not having community anywhere else, we're here for you. We're open to you. You all should let your friends know, let the people that you care about know that we are here. We are all here. We are growing a community so that we have our tribe and that we have that connection. And, you know, we just want you all to be a part of it. If you feel like this was for you, if you feel like this spoke to you, please share it. Show up. We're all here. Show up and be with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's all we got.
Been another Sunday in the Reps.
There you go. See you next time.
Thanks for watching. Tune in again next week at 11:11 a.m. Pacific Time, or Monday evening at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. In partnership with New Thought Media Network.